going to introduce to some of you and present to others, Mr. David Sledge. Hello, how are you?
Good evening. I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm great. I was just telling the audience that you wrote this book that's all about leadership. But I know we've seen a lot of leadership books in the past, but this one is a little bit different. So I first want to thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for wanting to be on the show. But I also want you to tell me a little bit about your book and how your book is just a little bit different from the normal leadership books that we see out there.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you for having me on the show. I think the biggest thing, the biggest difference between this book and other leadership books is I talk about a lot of like empathy. And, a lot of people forget that even though we're leaders, you have to be a great follower before you become a good leader. And I think, too, for me, I look at some of the things like communication. Communication has a lot of people don't know communication is one of the biggest things to leadership. You got to be able to communicate above yourself and below yourself, and also you got to be able to talk, because people don't listen. You can talk all day, but some people just don't listen to what you have to say. So I think that's one of the biggest difference, just that lost art of communication, trying to bring it back.
Yes. So it's so funny that you say that people don't listen. And I think sometimes people forget that that's the biggest part of communication. And, when people think communicating, they think about how they can get their thoughts across. But listening is a huge piece of that as well.
Yes, ma'am. It really is. Because, like I said, we go in as leaders, something we was trained about in the military is that, as a leader, you think that everything you say is going to be correct, but it's not, because, you're only as strong as the weakest link.
My question was, did it take a while for you to learn all of this throughout your military career? Because, we all learn about leadership from the very beginning, but when did it really start to sink in for you?
Honestly, I think it sunk in probably once I made W3 in the Navy, because, even though I was a chief in the Navy, E7 in the Navy, and, leading people, leader of men and women, I think, too, for me, it hit me because I started failing. Because when I was younger, you don't really fail, because somebody's always there. Hey, go do this, go do that. Now I went from being enlisted to officer, and when I started failing out, and I learned a lesson, is that you can do everything you think is right, but sometimes somebody else knows better than you know. So just took notes. I write a lot, do a journal, and just started learning. Like I said, at W3, and it helped me out in my journey as I got older, and I think too the stage I got to in life. Because it's not just the age, but the stage I got to. So,
is this something that you share in the book for future leaders?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And talking about empathy too, because we can, people say sympathy all the time, but empathy too. You also, everybody's not going to be able to be a leader. You have to learn. It's not just, people always say, you're born a leader. I don't believe in that. I don't think, some things you were born with and some things you're not. God gave you a lot. He gave you 5 senses, but he also gave you the discernment to be able to see things in a different light too. And you have to, and I share that in the book. I share in the book that talk about, the outside influences to leadership.
So now, when did you decide that you wanted to write a book?
It's funny. I came in the Navy in 1990, and I started journaling because I went to, during the Gulf War, during Desert Storm and Desert Shield. I was 19 and out to sea, never been on a ship and lost. So I just started writing. But the journal piece it's just writing different things, especially the people I ran into, because, during that time, it was early 90s. A lot of people was in the Navy from the 60s and the 70s because they got out and came back in. And, and there was some things going on, in the military that wasn't like it is today. We still was dealing with a little bit of racism and different things, and coming out of Alabama, it was different, because I'm used to seeing who I see. But I got that bug to write, but the last few years, I just started writing because I saw people, how they got treated. And I always tell people it's intentional conversations. And that's what made me start writing, about leadership, and another book I wrote about your blessings. So I just, I don't know, I just got that bug, and I see people like yourself writing, and I know you've been writing for a while, and I just, it motivated me to step out on faith and write the books.
You mean I motivated you, little old me?
Hey, listen, that's why I'm on this show today, because I saw you, and I've been seeing you, and you're doing great things, and you're trying to help out, hungry authors like myself, to get out there, and I really appreciate that. So yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I mean, I think that's a great reminder. I'm really honored and glad that you said that. Now you've written this first book. Are you planning on using this as kind of a launching pad to doing other things such as speaking engagements, mentoring, or anything to that effect?
Yes, ma'am. I'm actually mentoring. I go out and do a lot of mentoring. I work with, I don't know if you know Norman Powell, plays for the Clippers, LA Clippers. He has an understanding grind. So I actually went through the National Naval Officer Association. We do a lot of mentoring with them every other Saturday at Lincoln High School here in San Diego. So I do that. I'm part of a couple of organizations that we mentor kids, but definitely, and I coach high school basketball too. So definitely mentoring the kids, and definitely want to do some speaking events. Yes, ma'am. But also too, that's not my first book. The first book is called Embrace Blessings. Yes, ma'am.
Well, do you have the books
leadership
with you?
book. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I had it right here. So this is the first book. Can you see it?
Yes. You can hold it a little closer to the camera if you like.
Yes, ma'am.
There we go. Mm-hmm. And now, what's Embrace Blessings?
That's the first self-published. So really, it's about we talk about intentional conversations and treating people how you want to be treated. It's really in there. And then also, I talk about the tongue. Like the Bible speaks. A tongue is like a sword that cuts you. So you got to remember what you tell people and what you say to people is what you was alluding to earlier. You really have to be careful what you say and how you act, because your character is judged by what you say out of your mouth. So, and it's really about that, and just embracing your blessings and trusting the process, because it is a process. Everything God has a blessing for all of us, but it's a process to it.
Amen to that. Now, the second book. Do you have that book with you?
This is right here. This one.
Yes.
This one. Oh yeah.
I love the cover.
Yes, sir.
I love the cover. I love the color blocking on the title. I love seeing you in your uniform. It's very attention getting.
Yes, ma'am. And that was my thing. My goal was to really, because they say the first thing a person does, especially for a man, first thing we see is with eyes. So I wanted people to be able to see that book and say, okay, this guy, he does have some credibility because he was in the military, but not everybody thinks that way. But two, I was sharp. You see a young black man, on the cover, and that's a good thing. That's what I was looking for to try to do.
Once again, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your insights about leadership. Do you have any final words you would like to leave the audience?
Just, I think one of the biggest things for me is, and I say this, if somebody you hadn't talked to in your life in a while, give them a call, because, we all need somebody to call us, because a lot of times, especially in this transition for me, it's only been 7 months, and used to talking to people and calling people, as well as I know, that time stops. But if you hadn't talked to somebody in a while, just call and check on them. Because also I've learned too, it's okay not to be okay. So just check on it. It don't have to be a loved one. It could be a friend, somebody you hadn't talked to in a long time. Just give them a call. But I really thank you for having me on the show, and it's been enlightening. I was nervous as all outdoors, but actually I really enjoyed myself, and it's great to see you.
I try to keep people comfortable on the show,